Okay, thank you, everyone. So we are ready to do our second working session, maybe blow away a little bit of the cobwebs that are coming through in the afternoon. So I will reintroduce Irmela to bring us through our second design section.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Okay. So here we are, session 2. We did some empathy work. Now we're going to do some ideation work, a little bit of prototyping. Just trying to throw as many jargon words at you as I possibly can. See who gets what. All right, I'll tell you what all that means. What I'd like to do now, so I'm going to set a couple of suggestions. So one is, how do you feel about this being a device-free session? Meaning, just like we ask our students, if you're willing to commit to the next 1 hour without using your phone, then if you need your phone, we know it's an emergency and it's super important, right? So that's wonderful. So I'm gonna ask you to consider, there's nothing you need your phone for from my perspective, so I'm gonna throw that idea out there. That'd be great. All right, here's what we're gonna do now. I want you to think about this paper clip. You see this paper clip? See this paper clip? It's here. It's doing its business. I'd like you to get something to write with. A piece of paper, Post-it note is fine. Don't make it fancy. This will be over in a minute. Take a piece of paper, get a pen. Okay. I want you to, in a moment, I want you to list all of the things that you can think of to use a paperclip for. See, these paper clips here are holding invisible pieces of paper. I want you to go for as many ideas as possible. This is not about quality, this is about quantity. You have about a minute. Go. Okay. That was clear? If that was not clear. Okay. What did that feel like? Shout out some words. Anything. No, you don't need to raise your hand. How did that feel? Pressure. Pressure. Stressful. Fun. Frustrating. Creative. No wrong answers here. Competitive. Okay. Anything else? How did it feel in your body? Anyone feel it in their body? Tense. Where'd you feel it? Shoulders. Yeah. Anybody else? Oh. Sorry. I'll pick a different song next time. That wasn't by design. Okay. How many people came up with at least 5 ideas? Just raise your hand. 5 ideas. 10 ideas. 15. 12. Okay. 11. All right. Let's talk to the 12. Let's give a round of applause for 12. Nice job. Ooh, does somebody have a mic? Is this a time when we could shop a mic around? Okay, great. Could you share your name and tell us how you managed to get so many ideas? And a mic is coming to you.
Is it here?
Raise your hand. Yeah.
Hi, Jason Valchik with NYU. Connie and I got 13 total because we decided to work together. You didn't say we couldn't work together, so.
Oh, how are we feeling about that?
A little inventive.
Wow. Breaking some rules. It's like I planted you. Interesting. Wow, okay. So you did a little collaboration, a little cheating,
Yes.
as we call it in academia. Okay. All right, let's talk to 11. 11 over here. What's your name and how did you manage to come up with so many ideas? Was there a breakthrough?
Halfway through, so, Jose Villalba, Wake Forest University. Yeah, I got to about 6 or 7, and then, I don't know, thought outside the proverbial box, and had a breakthrough and spit out another 5.
What was the breakthrough? What was the box?
I wanted to use it as a spinner, sort of like a non-Hanukkah dreidel, and there you go.
Did you feel better?
I did, actually. Like the tension that we talked about in the shoulders, it was like, oh, I got 5 more in me. And so, yeah, it felt better.
Great. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank
You're
you
welcome.
thank you both for playing. Both. All right, great. Okay, so we take more time to do this when I would do this in my classes, but what happened there was we were really invested in the schema. So typically we're invested in schemas, which is really just our way of categorizing lots of data quickly because we have to organize the world. And so when you see a paperclip, sure, it could mean lots of things, but I got things to do. So a paperclip is a thing that holds paper. That's what it does, right? So if we had more time, I would do this again with you, and we would play beautiful music, and you'd collaborate with each other. I don't have that kind of time. But let me just prime you for the exercise that we're going to do. Why are schemas important? So you've got all this data. Our brains are not like computers. They work way slower. And so quickly, we try to put everything into categories that seem to make sense, and then those become kind of ossified, right? So what we want to do today is think outside of those proverbial boxes, as we just heard. This is really where that idea of divergent thinking is going to be important, is when you are stuck in a schema, what is another way to look at the solution, even if it's just for the purpose of what we call ideation. We're not talking about, changing the nature of the world or gravity or anything that we don't have control of, but we can do that when we're just trying to be creative in our process, right? So did anybody ask for help? Usually it's a 0 on this one. Did anybody else collaborate or think to ask or talk to Google maybe? No. Oh, right, put your phones away. Did anybody think to defy my orders? No. With the exception of Jason and his accomplice, typically we just assume we're told to do a thing and we're supposed to do it by ourselves, and there's a kind of a test-like quality to it, right? When you're trying to come up with new solutions, there is no reason that you can't steal an idea from somebody or work with them, right? So remember that. I'm going to have you do some individual exercises right now, but after we leave today, remember your partners, the friends that you have, the people you usually don't talk to, and we're going to break out of those schemas. Okay, we're not going to go again. We're not going to do that. So here's what we're going to do instead. We're going to move into okay, let's see. Yeah, I do want to walk through these real quick. So the first thing I want to note, changing environmental factors can impact our ability to come up with different schemas. So when we do this with students, and I would say post-pandemic, more so, the music didn't used to bother students, and now they talk about how anxious they are all the time. So I think they were always anxious by that music, but now they actually have language and vocabulary to tell us that. So that's why we do a second round usually. When we broaden our schemas, we broaden our solution set. When we seek new perspectives, we get ideas. And in order to get unstuck, we must be able to discern between what we can control and what we can't. All right, so here's what we're going to do now. I'm going to have you just do one more 1-minute exercise with your new, I put a new bunch of these little, what are they called? Clothespins, people. This time, what I want you to do is for 1 minute, instead of drawing a student, you can put your student, on the table so you have that person in mind. I want you to take 1 minute now and channel yourself in this role that you're in here today, the role that you represent, the work you represent. And I want you to imagine yourself doing your work that you do at ease. What does an easeful version of you feel like? What does it look like? What are you wearing? What might your colors be? You have stickers. You can actually add some color now to this. For a moment, for 1 minute, I want you to now represent yourself, the person you are going to be designing for the rest of this hour, at the most easeful position. Who are you at ease? Go ahead and hit the music. Take a minute. Enjoy. Who are you at ease? All right. Okay. Keep going. I actually don't care if you look up at me right now. I'm just going to talk for a little bit, introduce you to the exercise. Keep playing with those stickers. Okay, so you've got yourself at ease. You've got the student whom you're serving, whom you're designing for. Let's come up with some divergent possibilities. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We are going to spend the next few minutes thinking about the question. This is the question that actually Keith and Dana brought me here for, which was, if you could design a university or a college or an institution centered on well-being, What would that look like? What would that mean? What would that feel like? What if it were centered on well-being? Now, I said, I think that question's too big, but let's make an exercise out of it and see what happens, because I think there is something really concrete in that. So I am going to run with the beautiful imagination of that question, and that's what we're going to focus on for the next 15, 20 minutes. So what I want you to do is think about a designer might approach a question like that with as many different possible radically different paths. And then at this moment, I mean radical in the way I hope it's well used. I want you to be thinking about radically different ways that you might spend your time between now over the next 5 years. So if you had to center your university or institution on well-being, what would that look like? So you might come up with a path, and I'm going to give you some schemas that you can use. This would be the path that you're going on now. Things are going great. But what if there were 2 other paths? So that's what I'm going to walk you through today. What I'm hoping, and what we tend to see when we do this, is you start to make connections across those paths, and you actually start to see some realities, maybe even a 4th path emerging. Okay, so let's see what happens when we generate wildly different paths, and I want you to resist the temptation to judge the ideas as they come out. This is for the next 20 minutes. Everything you do is perfect. It's perfect, it's amazing, everyone loves you, it's all great, your status is not in question, you have great ideas, okay? Next 20 minutes, you can do whatever you want after that. So, here's what I want you to do. You are going to take one of these big pieces of paper on your table. Grab one of these big white pieces of paper. There's a stack somewhere. Get up, pass it around, make sure everybody has one. Okay. I have some extras if you really want a lot more space, because I know I would find this too small. But my suggestion is that you have it vertically oriented, and you just create 3 sections. So top third, middle third, bottom third, number 1, number 2, number 3. And all you need to do is write now, the word now over here, and 2030 over here, and just divide that space into 5 sections. So basically you're creating a 5-year timeline. I like to use little dots so that it doesn't get really constrained, right? Because things go over the years. But basically you're creating a 5-year timeline. Number them 1, 2, 3. Okay, so here's what you're going to do. For the next few minutes, you are going to design what you think the next 5 years could look like at your institution. And we're thinking like A+, like you're doing an A+ job, everything's going super well. Everything you learned today, you're implementing and more. You're designing new things, things are really great. So for the next 5 years, what might your role, right, your work be to do, to implement? So I want you to think about this. Maybe it's like, here's what happens at the institution, but be thinking about things that like you might actually have a hand in. So as an example, I've just put, starting with, let me see, hold on one second, sorry. Mystery, these are mysteries, you don't know what they are yet. Hold on, let me see. Yeah, okay, here we go. Okay, so what I want you to do is, for this first one, you're just gonna quickly add a couple of milestones that come to mind. Anywhere on the timeline, that should say timeline, not Timline, and any category. So it could be, we're gonna build something. We're building a building. I'm gonna be implementing new curriculum. Somebody I know is piloting a new service, right? So in that, maybe in that first year or the first 2 years, just put a couple of things that you think could happen. And if you're like, I don't know how it's gonna happen, but I know by 5 years I want this thing to happen, just drop one in here. If 5 years is too long, maybe make this 3, it's okay. But just do what you think is generative for you. An example I put was, okay, I'm just gonna start holding well-being office hours, or I'm gonna ask our counseling services to hold weekly office hours. And then I'm going to meet with the head of athletics, who I keep meaning to meet with, but I never have. Now what I want you to do then, and this is really the key with this ideation exercise, is I want you to take that idea and then say, okay, if then what happens? So challenge yourself to just accept the idea, whatever the idea is, and say, okay, if that happens, then maybe this will happen. And if that happens, then this will happen. This is a rapid exercise. You only have 5 minutes for this, right? And then we'll do 2 more. So I just want you to start plotting, like things that might happen. Maybe you heard about a project today, but before you're like, ooh, I don't have the resources, I just want you to write it down, maybe it will happen, and then say, if that happened, then what? Those are your instructions. You are welcome to use your Sharpie, and then I also, of course, we have all these colored stickers, so if you start to feel like you want to add some color, or you want to be able to like color code things, if you're like a journaler, feel free to use whatever materials you have on your table. And this is what you'll be doing for the next 5 minutes. So milestones, and if then, so what? Throw it out there, and we are going to begin. Now, are there any really, really important questions that you think you need to address right now? Overall goal. This is what would happen. Okay, great. I don't have, it's hidden. Great. This is what the next 5 years could look like if things go really well, just so well, with all your well-being efforts. So this is basically what could well-being look like at our institution if we just keep on the path and we do really well. It's really, what does well-being look like? So you could say this is what a student's life would feel like or an experience, but you could also be adding stakeholders, like how faculty would be involved, right? So basically, if you had to tell the story 5 years later, what's the story that you would tell, and who all were involved, and what's everything that happened? But what I'd like you to do is really lean into like writing a thing down, being like, okay, let me just see if that happened, then what would happen? Just give yourself the opportunity to react to your own ideas. There are no wrong answers. This is not easy. You're going to get something out of this, I'm sure. At least you're going to get a giant piece of paper to take home. All right, 5 minutes. We'll play some music and go. Okay. All right, here is your next schema, right? Schema 1 is everything's A+, it's going great. We've got, maybe you wrote down things that you would do. Maybe you couldn't think of things you would do, but you came up with things that would just happen. Both of those are great. Thank you for that question. Okay, so here's path number 2. By the way, this exercise, this is my first time doing these 3 prompts, and I want to say I spent a night over some wine at the Soho Grand with my dear friend, Dustin Liu, who's the new senior director of the Institute on Purpose and Flourishing here at NYU. Great person, great place. I'm so excited for NYU. And he helped me. So if you don't like these, you can blame him. Okay, so path number 2. I want you to think of a core characteristic that really defines your institution. Like, what is it known for in the press? What is it known for among parents? What is it known for among students? Maybe it's something endemic to the culture or the reputation. Maybe it's, like we're a sports school, or we're a tiny residential college in the middle of a field, or we provide like 100% tuition assistance, whatever it is. It can be good, it can be not great. I just want you to think of a thing that defines your institution, a schema that you operate in, and for the next 5 minutes, I just want you to take it away. Now, I don't even know what that means myself, right? Like, this could be wild. I don't know what that means, you don't know what that means, but something is probably playing out in your head. What if we didn't have a football team? What if our tiny liberal arts college moved into the middle of Central Park? Whatever it might be, what is one core thing that like you're like, yep, we all obviously work through that, but what if that just went away? Why do we do this? We are trying to diverge just for a moment out of our schemas. When we have ideas, sometimes we'll have an idea, we have a lot of ideas. Then we have one that's a little bit outside of the box. Our brain doesn't like it. Our assumptions are so strong, and it just ends up right back in the box. So, moving a liberal arts college into Central Park is one of those ideas. But we have to go so far that we break our assumptions and we change our solution set. Maybe we have to modify that in reality, but for now, I just want you to think about that as how you're operating for the next 5 minutes. I mean, look at that animation. Come on. I didn't make it, but okay. All right, so here's what we're going to do, though. Another good part of ideation is that you've got to be thinking about things differently than you usually do. So we're going to do a 1-minute exercise called Point and Shout. Are you ready for this? If you're able, and if it's accessible to you, please stand up. I'm going to demonstrate what it means to walk around a space and think outside of your normal schemas. So what if I were walking around, and wherever I saw something and I know the name for it, I have to come up with a totally different name for it. So what if this is a banana? This is, oh gosh, that's a podium. What if this is a lighthouse? What if that is my mom? What if this is A basketball. What if this is a pickleball? Anytime you want to join me, we're going to do this for a minute. Start pointing at things and just naming them as something, anything other than what they are. Okay, so that's a rutabaga. That is family reunion. That is tricycle. That is... Okay. And scene. Rush back to your seats with all that great energy of thinking about things other than what they are. Okay, so why do we do that? We do that to get out of our normal thinking. So, path 2, you'll have 5 minutes. Think about a core characteristic of your institution. What if it just wasn't there? What if it was something else? One way you might want to think about this is maybe there's something that you think might be just getting in the way of well-being in your particular environment, and just what if it weren't there? It doesn't have to be a bad thing, it just isn't the institution that you're used to working at. So now take another 5 minutes. Again, imagine what that kind of well-being path would look like. What would it look like at your institution? Anything you write is okay. And begin. Actually not so wacky. All right, let's do path 3. So, now I just want you to release some constraints. You don't have to like add it to path 2, right? You're starting totally fresh. Think of 2 major barriers that are preventing you from being able to get this done, as far as you can tell right now. Maybe you heard some ideas this morning, this afternoon, and we're like, that's just never gonna fly at my institution because insert barrier here. Whatever's the first barrier that just came to your mind, just take that away. Just assume that that's not actually an issue or that somebody has resolved that for you. What would that look like if you could just remove a couple of barriers? Again, this is a little bit wild, right? Because who is that person that's going to remove those barriers? So what I want to offer you one last thing, which is you're not going to get up and point at anything, I promise. If you're getting stuck and you're like, I don't have wild ideas because there's nothing wild about this, or this is a moment where we're all just trying to survive because the world is on fire, I'm with you. And so, for the next 5 minutes, I will offer you, I put some stickers on your table. Sometimes just a little random visual can help you. So, if you're getting stuck, grab a sticker. I grabbed a few that I didn't plan to grab, I just grabbed one. Okay, this is a Christmas tree. So, I'm going to say, okay, what if, I don't know, I just need a new idea. What if there was a National Wellbeing Day and we got to celebrate it first day of school? No classes that day. Okay, fine. I'll just add that. Here's a mural. Okay, what if I had like a Guggenheim artist come and do a residency and like paint murals all about messages that I want students to hear that I wrote down on my piece of paper this morning? Okay, what if, I don't know, here's a tattoo. What if I got a giant tattoo that said, I represent well-being on my forehead as part of my first year in office, okay? Whatever it is, if you need a sticker, some visual will just prompt you. I want you to just spend the last 5 minutes with us in this exercise, just writing down whatever comes to mind. There's something insightful in it, even if it's not even physically possible, okay? So, last path, release some constraints. Let yourself imagine what that could feel like, what that could look like, and when in doubt, grab a sticker. Okay. I can read a room. Seems like you're all done with your 5 years. Chatting. Okay, good thing we're going to do some chatting now. So, with whatever you've got on your paper, I'd like you to find a partner in the room. I know that there are tables of 3, but for the sake of time, I'd like to make this a paired conversation just so that you have time and we can get to the final activity. So you're going to find a partner. So if you're at a table of 3, maybe find a solo person somewhere else, pair up, bring your visioning with you, and meet up with that person and then await instructions. So I know that everyone's got a partner. Is there anybody who doesn't have a partner? You're going to do threes? Threes? I like it. Breaking out of the schemas. Refusing my instructions. I'm proud of you. All right. Okay, so if you're a 3, then you just get less time. I'd like you to just have a conversation now. Just share what that was like. This is basically an open-ended conversation. Share what that was like. Was there anything that surprised you? Did you notice any differences or similarities between the paths? Anything else that comes to mind? So basically, have a conversation. You're going to have about 8 or 9 minutes to do so. I'll read the room as well. Make sure that everybody gets a chance to talk. Begin. I'll give you a halfway mark. I'll give you a sign. All right. Let's come back together. Okay, I've got one last activity for you. All right. Okay, so I just left you in a whole sea of that's impossible, I'm guessing. But I hope that some new thoughts emerged, maybe some noticings that maybe had gone unvoiced. But we want to make sure that you at least come away with something concrete. And there's a reason that we do that. We do that work because, like I said earlier, in the wildest idea is some kernel of insight about something that actually might happen, that maybe you just didn't have the time or space to think about. So if you walk away after about 5 minutes with literally one thing you could do differently, or just even one thing you could do when you get back to your institution, I know I will be happy. So here's how I want to do that. This is what we call the prototyping stage. This is where you try a thing before you commit like more than even $20 to it, or an hour. You do something low cost, low resource, because you want to learn something, right? Everything you just did was like, oh, what if this happened? What if this happened? Essentially, you just did 15 minutes of, I want to learn something. So I want you to pick something now that you actually want to dive into and learn. Would that be true? Is that actually possible? So here's how we'll do that. Okay, so I want you to now, you can use your stickers if you want to color code or just take your pen. And I want you to look at all 3 visions and see if one idea just emerges to you that you found delightful, maybe several. So just take a minute, and then, I'm going to give you both, actually. Let me give you both. Yeah, forget the actionable thing. Right now, I just want you to do these 2 things at the 2 top bullet points. Find a few things that feel delightful to you. Just going to throw that word out as your prompt. Maybe a few things that feel a little uncomfortable to you, and just make note of those. Put a D for delightful and a U for uncomfortable. We'll play a little bit of music, about 2 minutes. Just take note, what was delightful, what was uncomfortable, and then we'll talk about making an action step. Okay, I trust you're already starting your accountability plan for this thing you're going to do. All right, let me have your attention. I'm only here for another 90 seconds, and then I'm going to JFK. So help me get to JFK on time. Bringing your attention here, and then I'm off to JFK. All right. We're going to close out. I'm going to ask for a couple volunteers to shout out. It's okay if you don't have a mic. Use your loudest voice possible. We're going to get a couple ideas from this room. What is the tiny thing you're going to do? And what are you trying to learn? And let's get as many as we can in 60 seconds. Stand up and just shout out your idea, and let's celebrate. Who's got an idea they're going to do? And what are you trying to learn? Device-free day. What are you trying to learn? Those are 2 different objectives. Can they feel better? Will they do it? 2 different objectives might change the design of what you try. Excellent work. Somebody else.
I actually just did it. I wanted to find out if it's possible to partner with the university to create a vision for your framing of what education at its core, their journey is about.
You just found that out? Or you're saying you just partnered with somebody? You just did it. Oh my gosh. Okay, snaps for that one. That was great. That was beautiful. Okay, let's get a couple more. What are you going to do in the next 3 months? Very low cost. What are you trying to learn? Y'all, I got students more interactive than this. What is happening? Go. Right.
So what if I put all that global effort into the boroughs or the neighborhoods of Manhattan? And what would that look like if we went local?
I love it. And what's one thing you're going to do to test that idea?
I'm going to talk to the people that are already doing the first year seminar classes going out to different places in New York.
Think big, start small. That was beautiful. Thank you so much. Okay, one more. One more from this chatty side of the room.
Karen's remark about getting counselors involved prompted me to think, we have this dead period where there's no classes on Thursdays from 9:40 to 10:30. So I'm going to ask the counselors, what might you do in during that window of time? Give us some ideas what the university could do.
That's beautiful. And is there anything specific you want to learn?
I want to learn how to build community during these times where there's not class, more intentional community when we're out of class and it's not in the residential hall.
Okay, beautiful. Let's do a round of applause for all of you. Okay, so that's a great one to end on because I want to say, if you've learned nothing else, well, we did this in a very short time. The reason I keep asking you, what is it I want to learn, is because this process, this design process that we, kind of touched upon, is very iterative. So this beautiful learning objective that was just shared, that's what might come from that action. But then if you sat down again and said, wait, how might we, all the ways we could do that learning objective, you're going to come up with a whole new slew of ideas. So think about the learning objectives as not just like a goal, but actually a new prompt for more ideation. Trust this process. This is especially important in a massive culture of urgency right now and always, especially in academia. So these kinds of creative processes can give you just the little bit of pause that you might need. I hope this process invites some agency and joy, again, especially when the world is on fire. And this is, if nothing else, a process of doing, learning, not just either one, but both iteratively and together. And with that, enjoy the rest of your session. It has been an honor and a pleasure to be here, and I'll see you in Miami for anybody who's coming to Miami.